Hey everyone, firstly I'd like to apologise for the slight late upload. Although it's on Sunday at least, I've been very busy today, driving lesson and long cycle ride and loads of A-level work to do. That's quite fun. Anyway, the show must go on and I'm here now. I'm very excited about this video actually, a very good period of history. Cold War, British Empire, Egypt, what more can you ask for a historian? So yes, the Suez Crisis, 29th of October to the 7th of November 1956. Downfall of imperialism. Let's get straight into the video. Since the 1880s, the British have had a very dominant presence in Egypt. Of course, got to get that Cape Town to Cairo, make Cecil Rhodes happy, as we all know. The British, of course, acquired that newly built, well, in 1880, as of 1880, the Suez Canal, which of course passed right through Egypt and was very good for Britain. Not only could they get to India quicker, but also that is complete control of the Mediterranean. Gibraltar, Malta, Cyprus, Egypt, Suez Canal, Aden, British Somaliland, you get the idea. That is complete British trade, a monopoly on money, made Britain very, very rich as a result. However, by 1952, Egypt had, well, strictly speaking, in 1922, Egypt gained some form of independence in Britain, but it effectively made it into just a dominion, really, similar to sort of a South African or Aden, Yemen perspective on what we would see as an independent country. The British are a very, very prominent stable there, and in World War II, Egypt was very much run by Britain, so it was still very much a British colony as it was then. However, in 1952, King Farouk of Egypt, a very sort of calm British guy towards British, he got the sack, to put in very calm and layman terms. The Egyptians did not want him there anymore, and he lived out a luxurious exile in Italy, so that was quite nice for him. And in his place was Kemal Abdel Nasser, a sort of far-right pan-Arabist, being considered a fascist, but we wouldn't get into the politics of that. I'm a historian, I'm not a politician, I tell you the facts, you make the decision. Of course, not only was he very happy to have this new Egyptian republic, he wanted the British completely gone. The British had retreated to the Canal Zone prior to 1952, however he wanted more. He said himself, and I quote, "We dug the canal with our veins, our blood, and it is an Egyptian canal. From now on, this canal will be run by Egyptians," unquote. So it was pretty clear Abdel Kemal Nasser had pretty clear intent what he wanted to do. He wanted the British out. In 1956, Britain was run by Sir Anthony Eden, a conservative, and he was very much for Britain still having a very dominant power on the world stage. I mean, let's not forget 1956, India's gone now, Burma's gone now, Sudan just left in 1955. He felt like, especially with like the Hungarian uprising going on, he saw it was a key opportunity. The British were going to strike, they were going to strike now, and simply act as that third pillar in the Cold War of imperialism. And they were not alone. The French also had got some money, a bit of money from the canal, and also fighting the war in Algeria, which I'll make a video on in the future. And they were also like pretty, wanted to be imperialists. The British and the French have always had that sort of, haven't they, that sort of firm, we can rule the world and we do what we want way. These were their military, and that was definitely going to play a key role in the Suez Crisis. However, there was also a third variable in the crisis, and that was Israel, the world's only Jewish state. Israel had a pretty rocky history, to say the least, as independent from Britain in 1948. And of course, there was, the Islamic State of Palestine, West Bank, Gaza, that was back then. Very much dominated by Israel. I don't quite know what the borders were, constantly changing as we speak now. But yes, and Israel was being denied the Straits of Tiran and had not got access to the Red Sea as of yet. And of course now Kemal Abdel Nasser, very pan-Arabist, was very strong, and he himself did not recognise Israel as a proper state. So Israel, along with Israel, Britain and France, made a pact that they were going to secretly, although pretty quickly many countries realised they were not working secretly, they were secretly going to take back the Suez Canal and give Israel right over the Sinai and also the Straits of Tiran. So on 29th of October it all kicked off. Britain and France did not act first, it was the Israelis that acted first. They secured the Strait of Tiran and went into Sinai, and war the crisis was really a war. The crisis soon followed. Britain and France Britain, I should say, gave Israel and Egypt an ultimatum: withdraw 10 miles from the canal or risk a military intervention. However, the Israeli troops were still about 35 miles from the canal. Of course, that gave Britain's plot and plan away, and British troops and French troops were landing as paratroopers, still with the British with their classic 303 rifle, and it did help a lot. The ratio between British and Egyptian casualties were about 56-1. It was a very firm British victory, and within days the canal was British again, and it was a job well done. However, politically though, it was a nightmare for them. The Americans and the Soviet Unions, for the first time, were actually in a common cause. They disagree with how Britain and France are taking it back, Suez Canal and its monopoly of money, and they actually backed Kemal Abdel Nasser. The US even threatened to use nuclear weapons on Britain and France, and the Americans threatened to kick them out of NATO. This was a bit complicated for France, because France was very much seen as sort of Europe's sort of defender. It had a very bulky military, which of course was being used in Algeria at the time. So it was pretty clear that Britain and France had to accept it, and France, led by Guy Mollet, and Israel, led by Yuri Gurin, and Britain, led by Santhi Eden. Eden quickly left, not before lying to conference, and Guy Mollet wouldn't last much longer than Eden. Israel, however, did gain some concessions from the Suez Crisis. It got the Straits of Tiran and sort of still made it clear that Sinai was sort of theirs, and the Six-Day War in 1967 would quickly follow, but that deserves a whole video on itself. So, conclusion of the Suez Crisis, where it was pretty clear that Britain and France could not dominate their own foreign affairs. Decisions weren't made in Paris or London, they were made in the White House or the Kremlin. It was pretty clear that Britain and France were no longer these great world powers they really were, very much second class to the Americans and the Soviets. And yeah, the British Empire only sort of declined more and more since there. Egypt was very, very happy about this crisis, and again, everyone running around Nasser. He had kicked the imperialists out, and they were very, very happy. And it was pretty clear at that point, you just can't, funny that, isn't it? You can't just roll into a country with a load of tanks and bombs and expect everyone to like you. I suggest you pass that information on to Putin. But yeah, all jokes put aside, it was pretty clear imperialism was over. There would be the end of empires, they had fallen, and the rise of republicanism and pan-Arabism was on the rise, which for Israel at least was only going to be an absolute nightmare for them. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I've absolutely really loved making it, and it's been great. I love history, and Suez Crisis is one of my favourite parts of history. I mean, honestly, it's probably the most important day of the Cold War, really. Well, important week of the Cold War, if you like. Other things like the Cuban Missile Crisis, Hungarian uprising, Prague Spring are all to play. The Suez Crisis really was quite an interesting aspect. And I would recommend, if you want to check this video out here, of Epic History TV. It does a bit more on the Suez Crisis with cool edits, better than I could ever do. So yeah, I'll leave that there if you want to watch it. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Again, apologies for the slight late upload, but yeah, hopefully you don't know me gone. I'll see you in my next YouTube video. Goodbye.